thanks. Like, hey, Scoob, did you hear Nikki Blake is hosting a Scooby-Doo panel? No. Yeah. Like on today's Scooby-Doo episode, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy meet Nikki Blake. Yeah, and a Scooby Panel. Like, we need to get this puppy started. Okay, Nikki Blake, take it away, Scooby-Doo.
Today on the Scooby Panel, Nikki and Wendy meet gorgeous and glamorous Hollywood star, the divine legend, Miss Ruta Lee.
We are so excited to have you. We are so excited to talk to you.
Yes. Yes, thank you so much for coming.
Oh my goodness, I'm excited to be with you. I mean, this is two beautiful new faces, gorgeous faces.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh my goodness, who is your little cutie in the background?
In the background, which one? I don't know.
Your little kitty.
Oh, the kitty. But look at the one that I've got in my lap.
Oh,
this is Yo-Yo.
Adorable.
The cat is Honey Boy.
So sweet.
Nice.
And
that's wonderful.
And well, I'm an animal lover. Clearly you are too.
Yes.
Yes, we definitely are.
Yes, and we do have a very soft spot for a particular cartoon Great Dane. Yes, we definitely do.
I had Great Danes.
Oh, okay.
And they're the most wonderful creatures. The only sad part is that their lives are so short.
Yeah.
You know, if you get 10 years out of a beautiful Dane, it's a big deal. And it is so heartbreaking when you lose one of those gorgeous creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
They're gentle giants.
Yeah. I've never owned one, but all the ones that I've come in contact with, they're just so loving and they're so sweet.
They're wonderful, and they're usually very well behaved, unless they dig up your yard. But other than that. Now, do either of you have animals?
Well,
I have a dog. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Just one?
Yeah. Just one. We had a second one, but he passed away last year.
Oh dear, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I bet the one that you have misses the original, the one that died.
I'm not sure that he did. He kind of likes being the one in charge.
Oh,
and the other one was more the one in charge. So
got you. Yeah.
She does have the most beautiful dog in the world, though. He is gorgeous. He's a very pretty dog.
He's a lab Australian Shepherd mix, and he has blue eyes.
Blue eyes, how unique.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, he's gorgeous. Yeah. I just have wild pets now. I did have dogs for a long time, but I can't handle when they die. And I thought, I have lots of squirrels. I am known among my friends as a little squirrel lady. I am quite proud that a number of people have called me the Canadian Snow White. I'm very proud of that. All kinds of birds and things like that. But yes, I stick to the wild stuff now because they can take care of themselves, but they can also be very affectionate if you're willing to put in some time and make friends with them. So all of my squirrels come running in the morning when I go outside to feed them. The birds will come to my hands, and I love them. I love them very much.
Well, I live in an area that has lots of wild stuff. Raccoons, coyotes, squirrels, groundhogs, snakes, all sorts of critters, and deer. And I haven't seen the deer much lately. And I just hope the coyotes haven't killed off baby deer.
Sure.
They're great creatures, and we put out water for them.
Oh, nice.
That's nice.
So all the critters come to drink out of the tub that has the water. And my husband used to say, God rest his soul, that I picked the wrong career, that I should have been a zookeeper because I love animals so much.
Yeah.
And he said, if ever I was in the jungle and saw lions, that I'd be down on the ground going, "Here, kitty, 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 kitty."
And he was right too, wasn't he? You would do that.
I'm really fearless when it comes to animals, and just love them. And I was once asked when they were shooting, I think it was called Hatari at not at 20th, at Paramount, and I was doing some Western or other, and the animal wrangler said, "We're having to place baby elephant. Would you like a baby elephant?"
Oh.
I was almost tempted. Can you see me shoveling behind the elephant? What, and give up showbiz? And I was almost tempted, but then it occurred to me that our backyard, you have to reach through a passageway that is the wall to our swimming pool. And I thought, when that baby grows up and is, this wide on one side, how am I going to get him through that passage?
Right.
So I didn't take the baby elephant, even though it was offered. Now, maybe they weren't serious, but I thought they were.
Yeah. If only you could keep it a baby forever, then it would be.
Yes,
fine.
yes.
Yes. Yeah.
But Hatari had lovely elephants in it. They shot some of it in Africa, and it was beautiful. And my girlfriend, Stephanie Powers, of course, is the head mother, the mother superior of the animal preserve that they have in Kenya. And I've been promising her that I'm going to come to Kenya. That's what's left on my bucket list, is a grand and glorious safari in Africa. But I want one of those fancy ones where they do the cook with the chef right there at your tent or whatever. I don't want to have to climb mountains without a tractor to pull me up.
Yeah. I hope you make it there.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
But I've been promising Stephanie that I will come, because she spends a lot of time in Africa.
Yeah.
She's the most incredible girl. I don't know if you've ever interviewed her. She's
no.
She speaks, I think, 8 languages fluently, which is quite marvelous. And I'm lucky to speak 2.5,
Yeah. Well, Miss Lee, are you ready for some of our questions?
Ready.
Well, you are most certainly a star of the cinema. There's no question about that. Some of our favorite work that you've done, though, has been voice acting and animation. So in 1988, you were the unforgettable voice of the evil witch Revolta in Hanna-Barbera's Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School. What can you tell us about your little adventure in the world of Scooby?
Well, first of all, thank you for calling me a star. I think I am in my own mind, and I was in my mother's mind, but I've never, except on stage, reached above the title billing. But thank God, I've had a wonderful life and a wonderful working career. I mean, I'm now 90 years old, and I've had, 75 years of working all the time. So thank you very much for saying that. Now, when it comes to voiceovers, I've never had so much fun in my life as sitting on a stool, making funny sounds, laughing and scratching my way through a performance, and then getting paid at the end of the week. Wow, that's pretty frigging fabulous,
Yeah.
And I did, Revolta was, of course, fun to play, but as you can see, I have a fairly deep voice. But I also did a series for Hanna-Barbera called The Frankenstones. And I played Hydia Frankenstone. And my daughter was Atrocia. Aren't they great names? And so I had lots of fun. I love doing voiceovers. I should be doing more. I haven't pushed it. The problem with me and my career is that I work very hard when I'm working, when I'm hired to work, but I don't work hard at getting jobs. And my husband used to say, if I had worked hard at getting jobs, I could have told Barbara Streisand to get off the world. Well, he's right. I just never really worked. But God, I sure love the business. And doing cartoons and making funny sounds and finding characters and how to play them was wonderful. Revolta was fun because I got to do that big, hideous laugh of mine. And to think that it paid, wow, really great.
How did you craft her voice?
I just pulled it out from down low and thought it can't be a girlish giggle. It has to be something kind of wonderful. So, yeah, that's where I pulled it out from way down in the gut somewhere and had great fun doing it. I used it on stage a few times too, when it seemed appropriate. When I was doing Dolly, I think I used the laugh a few times. But, well, being in the business, it's fun. We get to do everything. And I've been blessed, ladies. I have been totally blessed, Wendy and Nikki, that I've been able to do so much. Not just television, not just movies, but to do live performances on stage. Nothing is quite as wonderful as working to a live audience and having that audience respond to you, whether it's with tears or with laughter or with applause. Wow, it's quite wonderful, and I love it all.
Just out of curiosity, with doing the voiceover for cartoons, did you get to record with the rest of the cast, especially for like on Scooby-Doo?
Yes. With Scooby-Doo, I did mostly by myself. I went in, and Gordon Hunt was the director on most of these things that I did. And his daughter is Helen Hunt, which is kind of interesting that he raised this gorgeous woman to be such a wonderful actress. When we did Frankenstones, a lot of those were done with the entire cast reading the script. And I mean, it is such fun to sit on a stool with a microphone in front of you and have to think about who you are and not forget who you are, which is easy to do because you get to laughing and scratching about jokes, and nothing is ever serious when you put a group of wonderful people together. Doing it as a group, though, is more fun than doing it alone. I did my own book, which is called Consider Your Ass Kissed. I think you know the title. Consider Your Ass Kissed was great fun, and I read the book for the performance as well. And that was kind of lonely work because you get into something that is about the size of a phone booth that's all padded and lined with soundproofing. And I'm somewhat claustrophobic anyway. And so sitting in that kind of situation and recording, and it's all my own thing, not a character. And, you know, I would bore myself. So we'd have to sort of say, wake up, do this. But it was a very interesting process, but much tougher than doing a character, I think, to read your own story without droning on, you know, with keeping it interesting. Well, you can imagine.
Yeah. Do you recall, I don't know that we've ever really asked anybody this or talked about it before, but doing a role like Revolta, which was for a movie as opposed to an animated series, about how long did it take you to do all of the recording for her voice? Was it sort of like a go in one day and you're done at once, or was it over a longer period?
My book took several days, but Revolta, I think, I have a feeling we did that in a day or two.
Wow.
Because it's just those lines that you record. You know, you don't have to sit through the whole thing. So that can be done.
Yeah.
And the director will sit in the booth and listen. And if he might want it a pitch higher or faster or slower or more malevolent or whatever, you know. And it is such fun to look at the character that you're playing, which isn't on the screen there all the time. Sometimes it is, but with the cartoons, very rarely do you have to match. When you have to loop, which is what they call putting the sound in on a film that you've shot, and maybe something went wrong or the wrong word got used and they have to kind of cover it. You have to match what you're saying to your lip movement on the screen. And that's a very interesting experience. You hear them say, okay, here we go. And then a line comes through that tells you when to go. And you do. I admire the people that do the looping in French or Spanish or Italian or whatever, because they really have to try and match. And mostly it's not even in your same language that you're looping, and to try and match it. So I really admire the people that do that. They get well paid and they deserve it. Yeah.
Yeah. May I just say that you have the most glamorous voice. And I remember the first time that I realized that you were the voice of Revolta when I was younger, because I've always been a fan of yours. And when I realized that you were in something Scooby-Doo, that was an even bigger thing. But it was so strange because Revolta, I mean, obviously the name, she's a little bit revolting. And I remember thinking how perverse it was that you were the voice behind something, because you are the most beautiful woman in the world.
Oh, bless you for saying that. You know, it is so wonderful to have done all of this, and I wish I were still doing it, and I should get busy. I developed a whole new set of fans that were way, way younger than I, you know, and to have acquired them because of the cartoon voices that I did was really kind of nice. Yeah. Very nice, in fact. So welcome to my life, Wendy.
Oh, I'm so honored to be here. Honestly, you have no idea.
And, where are you, by the way?
I am in Northern Ontario, Canada, so I'm about 6 hours north of Toronto.
You know that I'm from Montreal.
Yes, and I am very close to the Quebec border. Maybe 35 minutes away from the Quebec border. So yes, I'm happy that somehow we're close in that way.
One of my dearest friends in the world was the one and only Alex Trebek, who came from somewhere around your area.
Yes, absolutely.
Northern Ontario.
Yep. I think Alex was from Sudbury, and that's about 3.5 hours. I've been there many times.
He always loved Canada and referred to it. So we had a great deal in common, being very dear friends. And
that's wonderful.
I was his hostess on the show on Stump the Stars. Not Stump the Stars. I forgot my own thing. High Rollers. Stump the Stars was the pantomime show that I did way back when for CBS. Oh my God, did I have fun doing that. Game shows have always been a great part of my life. And I think part of it is that my energy level is very high. It always has been, and I presume that I'll go to my grave tap dancing, you know, who knows. Yeah. But I love game shows and have been hired a lot for them. And I love them, ladies, for one very special reason. They introduced me to in many cases, a worldwide audience, not just American and Canadian, but sometimes European audiences, as myself, as Ruta Lee, not as some character I was playing, you know, not some dope addict, not the mother of 3 children, not the sex pot a gambling queen, you know, but as Ruta Lee. And people either liked me and invited me into their homes, or didn't like me and didn't invite me. And I hope that was a small percentage.
Yeah.
But I really loved the game shows for that reason.
Yeah. Well, I can't imagine anyone not liking you, so I don't think you need to worry about that. I don't think that's even possible.
Thank you. That's very kind.
So there is one other voice that I want to talk about that you did for Hanna-Barbera. And in spite of the fact that clearly both Nikki and I love Scooby-Doo very much, when I was young, my primary cartoon, like what I guess sort of shaped me and molded me and that I watched over and over and over again, it was, for one, Hanna-Barbera did a Bible series. It was that. But there was also this one little VHS tape that I had. The series was called Timeless Tales from Hallmark. And the very first episode was Rapunzel. And in that episode, you played another witchy character with a fabulous laugh. You played Scarlotta. My goodness, I cannot tell you the number of times that I have watched this. I could sing every song in it. I adored everything about it. And actually, my boyfriend was the design supervisor on that show.
Really?
And when we first got together a few years ago, because you have been in a lot of things that I like, and we were talking about you, and he mentioned to me, he said, you know, he's like, one day I was in the studio and I looked over and there was Ruta Lee. She walked in. And it was only recently that we realized that it was probably when you went in to read for Scarlotta that he probably saw you that day in the studio. But that I can't tell you how much I adore you in that role. And that it was magic. It was magic.
Well, Wendy, you have really surprised me because I had totally forgotten about that. Thank you for reminding me. And where am I going to get that disc? That's all I want to know.
We'll find you
my.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I can't. There was something about those, and Olivia Newton-John did like a live action hosting at the beginning of those series where she would introduce the book because they were all based on different books and things, and then it would transition into this beautifully illustrated animated feature. And Scarlotta had her laugh it's not the same as Revolta, but it's similar. And again, it's just I can't tell you how amazing it is. I don't know any other actress who can take a role that is meant to be evil and revolting, but your voice is just so, again, I can't think of any other word other than glamorous. That no matter what you are playing, no matter how evil the character, there's so much glamour in the sound of that laughing and just the sound of the way that you enunciate things. It's just, again, it's magical. And those roles just, they're in my brain for the rest of my life, and I don't want them to go anywhere. And every time I hear it, it's like the first time, and it's just as good as the first time that I heard it.
Wendy, how would you like to be my agent?
I would love it. I would love it. Sign me up right now.
So honored and flattered by what you have to say. And the title of my book is Consider Your Ass Kissed, and I mean it. Sincerely mean it. Now, Nikki, what have you got nice to say? Come on, girl.
I'll get there. I'll get there.
And where are you, Nikki?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Oh, you're in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a wonderful state.
It's okay.
There's so much history and stuff going on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
good food. Nobody ever talks about the food, but it's good in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. It's been cold though. It was like negative in the negative degrees this winter. We got a lot
Well,
of
you think
snow.
that's cold? Go up to Toronto and north.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't think I would make
Yes.
it in Toronto.
You'd
We've
be
been
okay.
having
You get
very
used to it.
warm weather in California.
Yeah.
And I have a home in Palm Springs as well as LA. And I know it's been gorgeous there, absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to go down this weekend.
No.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. So they say that villains are the most fun to play. Would you agree with that? Yeah.
Yes, and let me tell you, the sluts are great to play too. Hookers with hearts of gold and teeth to match are absolutely the most fun to play. You know, sweet moms or nice ladies are lovely.
Yeah.
And when awful things happen to them, then there's more to do. But I've always enjoyed playing the bad girls. They're the most fun. That sound that you hear is my golden crested cockatoo yelling to come in the house.
So your career has spanned nearly 75 years, and it's branched out into pretty much every entertainment medium, from movies, television, stage, and voicing animated characters. Which has been your favorite to work in?
Wow. I love it all. I love the cartoons because you just get to be silly and wonderful. I love television because it hits so many people. One hello hits millions and millions of people. I love movies because a little more time is given to the beautiful scene, photographing it well, lighting it well. You have time to discuss what you're going to do with the director. Television, you have to slap dab it together a little faster. Nothing is quite like the stage because, as I said, when you have that live, living animal, an audience to react to what you're doing on stage, that's probably the nicest of all. But it's the hardest of all because you can't make mistakes. Of course, you can't on live television either, but there's very little of that. Mostly it's film or tape. But live, you have to know your stuff. But the beauty of live stage performances, especially musicals, is that no matter how tired you are, how in the dumps you are, how badly the day has gone, or how many tickets you had on your way to the theater, you hear that orchestra rev up with the orchestrations for the introduction to the show, and wow, your spirit is lifted. And I love it when you're in a theater, especially for the musicals, and your audience, and I especially love Texas, audiences. I think Canadian audiences are like this too. We think of everybody as being kind of quiet and reserved in Canada, but I think theater audiences all come in kind of saying, we're here for the ride, let's have a good time. And I sort of feel like Canadian audiences, at least the ones I've experienced, don't defy you to entertain them. We're here for a good time. We paid money, we're going to enjoy every penny's worth. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
You're very outgoing and very confident, and just you have a wonderful presence about you. Do you ever get nervous when you're going to do any of these things?
That first day when you walk out onto a movie set or a stage for the first time with an audience, or a television show, maybe a series that's been filming a long time, and you're the new guest star on, there's always that kind of woo moment where you have a little bit of butterflies, but it usually lasts all of 30 seconds and then it's over and done with. I've just been in the business and around the business too long to let nerves get the better of me. I know that I do my stuff and hopefully I will please the director with what I'm doing. And if not, he'll tell me and we'll change it, you know. But I've been around too long, I think, to get nervous anymore about it. Just that introductory thing is sometimes a little rare. Sometimes on these new shows, that people are moving so fast and furiously that if you're new to the set or a new guest star, no one takes the time to say, ladies and gentlemen of the crew, here is our new guest star for this week or first day on the set. It's awfully nice when that happens, but it doesn't happen all that much because everybody's always so busy that I guess they expect that you're going to come in, know your lines, hit your marks. And it's especially interesting when you work a 4-camera show. And for your audience that doesn't know what I'm talking about, like the Lucille Ball show always was a 4-camera show, meaning that 4 cameras were rolling at the same time on a particular scene. And therefore, you had to hit your marks exactly right every time in the scene. And when I say hit your marks, I mean that if you reach over to pat her hand, you have to do it at the same time with the same reach. Otherwise, my nose could be in Lucy's close-up camera. And Lucy could be walking into the long shot at the wrong time. It's a very interesting way to work. And it's very good, though, because you feel like you're doing a live performance, and you usually are, because there usually is an audience in the stands watching the show. So it's great fun. I loved it. And you have to be pretty adept at moving onto your marks. It's like choreographing a ballet. It's almost like a wonderful dance routine to know your lines and deliver them hitting the same places where your feet are planted. I don't know if you've ever seen that, girls, but it's worth coming into Hollywood just to watch one of those shows filmed.
Yeah, that's amazing. I don't think a lot of people take the time to consider what goes into your job as an actor and just how much is going on around you. I think it's because there's, you know, we can turn on the TV anytime we want. We can go to the theater whenever we want. And I think we become complacent and we think, oh, well, they're just acting, and not giving consideration to like you say, it's choreography, and it's intense and very precise choreography. Everyone has to be doing what they need to be doing to make everything, you know, we just get to see the final result. And like any form of art, if you didn't watch it happen, if you didn't watch its creation, it's easy not to realize how much work went into that. And it's honestly amazing to hear somebody talk about it in those technical terms, to just remind people like, yeah, you're not just an actor. There's no just about it. That is a very precise and amazing job to do. And you have to be good at it.
Well, you have to be, you really do have to be. And here's the part that's very difficult for anybody to understand until you're in the business. And that is, let's say that the 3 of us have gotten together and we're sitting around a table having a cup of tea and some biscuits. There will be the long shot of the 3 of us from back over there. Then maybe they'll reverse the long shot that has the 3 of us in it, and it'll be over your shoulder on Nikki and I.
Mhm.
Okay. That's twice that we've shot the same thing. And you have to remember now that when they come in for a 2-shot of, let's say, you and Nikki, or Nikki and I, and a 1-shot of you, we have to match what we said, the way we said it, when we picked up the cup to have tea, when we put it down, when we took a bite of the biscuit, when did we chew while you were talking, or did we put it down to talk? You have to remember all of that, and the script director has to write it all down. And that one scene with just the 3 of us can take all day to shoot.
Yeah.
Because there's the close-up on you, there's the close-up on Nikki, there's the close-up on me, there's the 2-shot, there's a 2-shot, there's another 3-shot from somewhere else, and it all has to match.
Yeah.
You have to lift your hand at the same time. It's difficult. And how to keep that energy up, and how to keep your intonation up, and how to keep the level of interest the same when you've done it for the 30th time.
Right.
Nobody realizes that that's what's happening. But when you see a shot here and a quick shot there, it took time to set that up. It had to be lit. It had to be framed. It had to be done. It took time to set that shot up. And so you're sitting off in the wings waiting to come on, and to keep the level up is very, very tough. Acting is not easy, especially for the movies where it's so repetitious.
Yeah, that's incredible. That made me tired just listening and imagining doing all of those things. Honestly, that's absolutely incredible.
You definitely have to love it to be
Yeah.
in it.
You
Agreed.
do, and it's difficult to remember because we talk naturally and we don't think about where our hands are flying or where we're scratching our nose or whatever. And now you've got to think about, and usually the script person will say, you lifted your hand when Nikki was pulling her hair. I lifted it where? Did I go like this? Did I go like that? You know, because it has to match on the other shot.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's not easy.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Well, speaking of television series, in 1963, you had a starring role in one of my all-time favorite TV series. You played Flora Gordon in the Twilight Zone episode, A Short Drink from a Certain Fountain, season 5, episode 11. Rod Serling was absolutely one of the world's most gifted and extraordinary writers. Did you get to work directly with Rod while you were on that?
I got to work. He didn't work on the set. He came in and filmed what he had to do, but he came to visit. And somehow a couple of times we were in New York at the same time. So I would go have dinner with him and so on and so forth. I could have fallen madly in love with him. He was adorable. He was sexy, but he smoked.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
yes.
My God, did he smoke? One didn't go out before the next one was lit.
Yeah.
And I would come home from having dinner with him, sneezing, nose running. Oh, there went any thought of any kind of even momentary romance.
Yeah.
Because I thought, my God, what would happen if you had a romance with him? Never mind a cigarette before and after. It would be during as well. But he was adorable and so gifted and so wonderful. And I truly loved him. And I love that series. And everybody, and his brother, who became big stars, was on that show one way or another. The casting director really knew what they were doing. You know,
absolutely.
The directors, because I think there was more than one.
But I would honestly say that the worst episode of The Twilight Zone, to me, is still better than anything modern that I see now. I
Thank
really
you. I
believe that
agree.
it
I
was so
totally agree.
wonderful.
Flora was such a trollop. I
Oh,
really loved her. I mean,
you
she
played her
was
so
a
well. My
nasty
goodness.
little bitch, you know, who was
She was
putting down
terrible.
her old husband. And doesn't she get her comeuppance?
Oh, she
I
does.
just
Absolutely.
love it when it happens.
That's the best part of Twilight Zone, I think, is when the bad guy gets his comeuppance at the end, and it's just enough to satisfy you and for
Yes.
you to be like, you deserved that. It's not over the top. You know, today I feel like sometimes the inclination is to make something larger than life. Oh, it's crazy. It's a crazy, you know, situation. But they were just, and especially that one where, yeah, well, here's your new little brother. That's what you're going to tell people. And you're going to have to raise him now. And you're going to watch as he gets older and wants to date people much younger than you. It was a beautiful.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I loved playing her. And one of the nicest things that can ever happen on a movie set happened on that Twilight Zone. After one of the scenes, you know, you have the catwalks up there with all the lights and the Klieg's and the everything, and your lighting director tells the guys up there, and they lean over the rails like this and watch scenes that are going on. And after one of the scenes, from up in the grids came applause.
Oh, it's wonderful.
And one of the guys yelled down, "Hey, Ruta Toot Toot, we love you. You remind us of our favorite." And I said, "Who's that?" And I said, "Carol Lombard." Wow.
Wow.
What a compliment. I mean,
absolutely.
Carol Lombard was one of the most gorgeous creatures that ever happened, and a hell of a good actress.
Absolutely.
And a wonderful comedian. So I always remember that. I get a chill when I think about how sweet it was of those guys.
Yeah, I can totally see that, though. That is, I don't think that was them just kissing your ass either. I think I believe that 100,000% that they meant that.
They meant it. It was just lovely. Well, I think I'm appreciated on all sets because I love to laugh my way through everything, even if it's a very serious play or show or whatever the case may be. There is still time for laughter, and laughter just lightens the load, no matter how difficult a scene is, and maybe the wheels squeaked and ruined a scene or whatever. If you can't kind of find a joke to share with the crew, to lighten the load for everybody,
sure,
it's tough. So I have made a point of that. I'm sure there have been times when the director is probably saying, "Oh, shut up, Ruta, and just get on with it." But as you know, I love to laugh.
Yeah. Did you guys have any inkling at the time that you were filming that Twilight Zone episode? It was near the end of the run. Did you have any idea at the time that series was going to become such can we call it a cultural phenomenon? So many people have tried to replicate it and they fail. Not to say that there has not been good television made from reboots of it, but nothing comes close to what Rod Serling did. Did you guys have any idea like how special it was at the time?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe somebody did. I wasn't intelligent enough to grab on, other than I was thrilled with the part. I was thrilled with it was shot at MGM. And of course, my very first job in the movies was 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, and that was MGM. And later I did a lot of television from there. I did another movie called Gabby that was the remake of Waterloo Bridge with Leslie Caron. And then later on in life, I did another movie with her in England. But so it was nice to be kind of at home in a way at MGM, which is now Sony and not MGM anymore. Oh, you don't know how it breaks my heart to lose all those studios and have them go under different working names now. But I was lucky enough to have come along. It was the beginning of the end of the studio system, you know, where everybody was hired to work at the studios under contract. I came in at the very end of that, but I did get to experience working with some of the greatest stars in the world. And somehow I don't see any of our, and Lord knows we have some wonderfully talented young people now, but I don't see anybody living up to their potential the way our older stars did. I mean, how many Marlene Dietrichs can there be in the world? How many Charles Laughtons? How many Frank Sinatras and Dean Martins and the guys, you know, wow. All I can do is thank God that I had the golden opportunity of working with all those people. And of course, I was too stupid at the time to realize how lucky I was. You know, I think it's going to happen every day. Oh, every day I'll get to work with Fred Astaire and Audrey Hepburn. You know, you think it's going to happen all the time. And so all I can look back and say, thank you, God, thank you.
I feel like people look at actors and actresses differently now. Like they're not really looking at them so much for their acting ability, but sometimes I feel like it's more for their looks. Whereas when you were working with these people, I mean, you guys had the look, you had the ability, you had everything going for you. And I don't know, I feel like it's a little different now.
It is different now. First of all, you have to remember that the big stars that stay with us to this day, although this generation doesn't even know who the Beatles were, never mind who Marlene Dietrich was, you know. But the stars of that era, from the silence on, were nurtured. They were studio products. They had to oblige their bosses by behaving a certain way. There was a decorum that was expected, but they also got fencing lessons and dancing lessons and elocution lessons and singing lessons. And they were also involved in that mill that was called the public relations aspect, so that everybody became a known entity, and you were the audience was fed a slightly polished product. Nowadays, it's an unpolished product because you've got what, 3,000 channels available now, with one show after another, after another, after another. And you have to be good and fast to pick up on what's going on, but you're not getting a polished gem the way you got the older stars that we got to know. Whether, I mean, Betty Davis didn't just walk in. She had great scripts, great light, great everything around her to help her. I'm not sure what we have nowadays. It's all so bloody fast. You've got to get all this material out. And so I admire the kids that can come in and just do it off the bat. And if they manage to be nice, proper people that are civilized and don't get bratty, then more power to them.
Are there any roles you turned down that you still think about?
I don't remember turning anything down. It seems to me that I was just so happy to be working. Maybe there was one or two things where I just didn't feel that I was even right for the part to go in and audition for it, which is a mistake that I made, because I went in to read for a film called Funny Bones. and I was to play Jerry Lewis's wife. And it was shot in England. In fact, it's the movie with Leslie Caron. And I went in a smart little suit and so on and so forth. And the producers, I read for them, and they said, you know, you are not anywhere near what we were thinking about for this role. You are absolutely not right for it. You are not the person we're looking for, but you've got the role. So maybe there were times when I thought, no, this is, well, you tend to get a little snotty and say it's beneath my dignity. Well, bull, you know, it's nothing is beneath your dignity. I think it was Laurence Olivier that said, there are no small parts, there are only small actors. And in many ways, he's absolutely right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Make the most of whatever job is offered to you, and somehow it always works out for the best.
Yeah. You said something earlier, and I was going to wait to circle back to it, but I think this might be the time for it. You know, you mentioned how you worked with a lot of stars, but I really hope that you know that you are one of those stars too. You did not just work with a bunch of stars. You are a star. You are a living legend. And I hope you will take this for the compliment that I mean it.
Oh,
I think that
eating it up.
I think that Vincent Price was one of the most talented actors that ever lived, and he did not get the recognition that he deserved. And there is absolutely no reason that he could not have, you know, been another Gregory Peck or Fred Astaire or someone that got the top billing in those films. But I'll tell you, he was so good that he could take even the worst script, the worst story, and make it into an amazing film simply because he was in it. And I think that honestly, it might have robbed all of us who love entertainment if he had been just that big lights in name and in lights star with just a few, you know, major motion pictures. We would have been robbed of all of those absolutely incredible smaller parts that he played, he played them to perfection. You are that actor. You like Vincent Price. That is you, because you could, it didn't matter what you were in. It didn't matter how small the part. It was like, there's Ruta Lee. And it didn't matter what else was going on. You were the star. I don't care what anybody says. No one can tell me that they have watched you in anything and not thought that.
You're very kind, but you mentioned one of my very favorite people in the world, Vinnie Price. I did a lot of the game shows with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I go to St. Victor's here in Hollywood, and Vinnie Price and his wife, Coral Brown, used to go to that church. So I'd see them all the time at Mass, which was really nice. And we did Hollywood Squares together quite a few times. And he was without a doubt one of the best people on the face of this earth. And Coral Brown, who was a wonderful British actress with a very deep voice and a great personality, was working in London one time on stage. I can't remember what the show was. And she was invited to Buckingham Palace to a Queen's reception, a tea of some kind. And so she threw herself together in a wonderful black dress and the black fur and a fur hat. And of course, what else was it doing in London but raining? And the doorman at the theater took her out in the umbrella and reached into one of those lovely big cabs, opened the door, and she backed in keeping her head under the umbrella, into the cab. And as she was getting in the cab on one side, a gentleman had opened the door and was backing in on another side. And the cabbie said, "Aye, mate, cab belongs to the lady." And the gentleman didn't realize it. He said, "What lady?" And she said, "This frigging lady." That was the kind of wonderful marriage Vincent Price had. And I think that he enjoyed everything he did, whether he was top billed in one of those wax museum movies, or he was also starred billing in Laura or whatever it may be. What a wonderful actor. And thank you for comparing me to Vinny as the female version. What a compliment. Thank you very much. Nikki, I haven't heard one kind word out of you. You've got to tell me something marvelous, dear. Of course, we've been so busy talking, Wendy, that Nikki couldn't get a word in if her life depended on it.
I did say that you looked amazing, and you definitely do not look 90. I would not believe
I hope not.
that
I hope not.
You look amazing.
No. That's the dogs are barking.
They agree. That's why.
They bark whenever anybody comes to the gate.
Well, you mentioned that, obviously you were in what I would consider probably the greatest musical of all time, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. I will admit I'm not typically a musical fan, but I remember the first time that I saw that on television when I was maybe 9 or 10 years old. And I fell in love with Howard Keel that day. I don't blame you. And that everything about that is just magical. And I love it so much. That was your first film role.
My first film role.
And I would like to know, do you think that just the sheer grandness of a musical of that caliber, do you think that helped to instill this? I mean, you clearly still have an intense passion for what you do, and you love it, and we can tell. Do you think that you're getting your start on something that was so grand kind of helped to instill that passion in you?
Wendy, I don't think I realized how grand it was or how it would hold up. Because if you stop and think about it, Seven Brides was kind of the stepsister at MGM. At the same time that we were shooting Seven Brides, BRYDGE was being shot with Gene Kelly, with Van Johnson, with Sid Charisse. The big money had gone into the costuming, the lighting, the everything for that. Ours was kind of the little stepsister. And the big stars were, of course, Howard Keel and Jane Powell. The rest of us were relatively unknown. Darling Rusty Tamblyn had done a few things, and some of the dancers were known. I mean, Jacques d'Amboise was from New York City Ballet. Matt Maddox was known as a good dancer. Several of the people had done a few things, but nobody was a big deal. And we shot that for a long time. We rehearsed for at least 6 weeks the dance numbers. Yeah. And those were the days, girls, when we worked 6 days a week. The 2-day weekend wasn't in existence then. Mm-hmm. This is 54, this is way back. Yeah. And I don't think anybody realized, when you stop and think, that this wasn't the typical musical, because things sort of, the storyline went into a song and into something. It didn't just stop and a big orchestra played something and therefore everybody jumped into it. But that that barn raising, let's face it, that was incredible the way
It was.
that worked. And that's Michael Kidd, who took this strange story, and the original film was going to be called Sobbin' Women, Sobbin, the Weeping Women, based on the Sabine women of the mythology. And, you know, nobody realized how good it was. Then when they finally woke up to the fact that they had a sleeper on their hands, nobody was expecting this film to take off the way it did. And I'm so thrilled to say that Seven Brides, and another film that I did, Witness for the Prosecution, thank God I'm in, are two of the top 100 films ever made according to the critics.
Yeah.
Which is really something, that a musical about backwoodsmen works. But stop and think about that dance number where Matt Maddox, my partner, does that thing with the axe, Lonesome Polecat. Wow, is he sexy or what?
Yeah.
I had seen him in a musical down at the Music Center here in town and fell madly in love with him because he did a wild number with a whip in leather pants that were skin tight. And he was just so divine, the way he moved like a snake. You know, he was just fabulous. And when I got paired with him, wow, I thought I died and gone to heaven. And I've got to tell you very honestly, I thought I was a dancer. Of course, I was just out of high school. And I used to take the bar every morning that Michael Kidd would do, to get bar, meaning B-A-R-R-E, the French exercise thing with the plies and the back bends and the this and the releves. And I'd look at these dancers that I was dancing with and I'd think, oh, what am I doing here? How did this happen? I'm not sure. Well, I do know how it happened. I went in for the audition and it was Michael Kidd and Stanley Donen and a few people, casting people. And I put on my little tights. And before I went into the casting department and the stage, my mother went across the street to the church and lit candles and got on her knees and prayed. I went in and did my little bit of ballet and then a little bit of jazz he asked for. And then he said, can you do something folksy? Well, as you know, I'm of Lithuanian descent. And boy, do I know something folksy. I know how to do a damn polka better than anything. So I polka'd up a storm and I got the job. And I don't know whether it was my polkaing or my mother's praying, but between the two of them, I got the job. And it was, I think, to this day, one of the loveliest experiences I ever had. And I did not realize how lucky and how blessed I was. But what a moment. What a year. Well, I want to know how you two came together being that far apart.
Through our love of Scooby-Doo. We met through Twitter and
really
we started following each other. And I think it was years before we really even had a conversation.
Yep. Yep. And then we got together and then Nikki was like, hey, I'm thinking of moving out of my comfort zone and maybe doing some of this video stuff. And like, would you want to be on an episode with me? And well, I just never left. We started, Nikki started it a few years ago. And then I just was like, well, I'll just
I'm so pleased that you did. I'm so, because you have a particularly interesting niche, because I don't know of anybody else that's doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And if they are, they haven't asked me yet.
Yes, Wendy is an amazing artist.
No,
and so I started following her on Twitter, and she was posting her art. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you told me, because I wouldn't have known. So you woke me up to something. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So how does voicing an animated fantasy character compare to your live action roles?
Now that's an interesting thought. I think in some ways it's easier because you know, looking at your character, what it is, and your director tells you what he wants out of this character. It's harder to create a character. You're the artist, Wendy. You can create what you want and then find in casting a voice that you think begins to do what you want. Mm-hmm. So in some ways, I find it easier to animate an animated character than to create one of my own. Mm-hmm. The character that I played, whether it was Scarlotta or Hydia or whoever, was there. And it wasn't Ruta Lee. I have to turn Ruta Lee into visually a character that is acceptable, whereas the character already exists for me. I just have to bring life to her in my voice. So, well, did I answer your question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Well, we have to touch on some of the I think you have been in every wonderful series that has ever existed, or very nearly every single one.
A lot. Yeah.
You have been in Bonanza, Gunsmoke, The Andy Griffith Show, The Lucy Show, Murder, She Wrote, and you yourself, you are absolutely a larger than life, colorful character. So I have to ask, how is it that you were never a guest villain on Batman in 1966? Because you would have been so perfect. And now that I've thought of that, I can't get it out of my head. What a travesty that there is no Ruta Lee guest starring on Batman.
Will you please ask the producers if they're still alive and I haven't killed them?
Yeah.
Why that happened?
Yes, I mean, I would like to.
Everybody I knew was on it, you know,
yeah.
my darling friends from all over the business were very much on it. Julie Newmar, you know, who was my trailer mate on Seven Brides, God love her. We shared a trailer on location. And there she was, the Catwoman, and doing all of that good stuff. And I didn't get to do diddly squat. Yeah. Thank you for asking.
You should have been on that. When I realized that you hadn't been, I don't know what they were thinking, but that was a huge missed opportunity. And honestly, yes, whoever is still in Hollywood who could make this happen, look at this lovely lady. You could, honestly, if you wanted to, you could put that cat suit on and give Julie a run for her money. Even now you could. Although I think you deserve your own original Batman character.
Oh, I have to have an original because Julie had great big huge gazongas. I have nothing. Maybe that's one of the reasons I never got hired.
Oh my goodness.
Julie was an adorable girl, though. What talk about a body? Oh my Lord. All 1,700 miles of it. Yeah. She was just fabulous. And she's still very beautiful.
She is. Yeah. She is. Do you still stay in touch with her? Are you guys still friends?
Yes. We don't see each other constantly, but I've been to her home and she will come to different events that I have. And I was thrilled when I got my star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She was one of the lovely people from my past that appeared, you know, and it's such fun. Of course, that was a great moment for me anyway. I got right in front of Grauman's Chinese, one of the prime spots, and my guest speakers were Alex Trebek, our fellow Canadian, and Debbie Reynolds, my sister in charity. and not my birth sister, but my chosen sister.
Yeah.
Boy, we were very close. And they both appeared for me and spoke at my star, which was
that was a well-deserved star. You deserved it, and I'm so glad that they put it where they put it. And I have to say, I was a little concerned about this sweater tonight, but this is my homage to your gorgeous pink outfit when you got your star.
Oh,
you had that
you.
big pink hat and that beautiful dress, and this was my homage to that, because
thank you.
Stunning.
And can I borrow that when I have an event coming up? Because
yes, you can. So absolutely. I will send it
I'll
to you.
have to get up to Northern Ontario to get it. How often do you get to Toronto? That has used to be the most boring city on the face of the world. I'm now it is such a pretty, wonderful city.
There's a lot going on there. Oh. I'm not really a city girl, though. I am definitely a country girl. I'm a homebody. I'm not big on traveling a lot. I've obviously been to Toronto many times, but there's a few too many people. It makes me a little claustrophobic when you're out on the street and there's just people all around you. I'm in quite a small town where everybody knows everybody, and everyone's really polite and stuff. And so I don't go very often.
Then stay out of New York at Christmas time.
I don't think I could handle it, to be honest. I don't even know that I would try it. I think they'd have to carry me off in a straitjacket.
Everybody and his brother comes to New York.
Yeah. It is beautiful there, though.
It is.
Christmas, but
it is.
So many people.
I find that London is also a place that is mobbed with people. Mm-hmm. But oh my God, so beautiful at Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have worked through 7 decades of Hollywood. What do you feel is the biggest positive change in the industry?
I don't think of positive changes. I happen to think that some of the changes are quite negative. And I'd like to see a little more discipline in my own field, which is acting. The Screen Actors Guild, which is what we all belong to, should be doing a better job of policing what goes on. I think that some of the misbehavior that we see is too bad. Remember, we were talking about this, that in the old days, you were beholden to your studio and you had to behave yourself. Nobody's beholden to anybody anymore, it seems like. Yeah. So I'd like to see a little more politeness, and I'd like to see a little more professionalism in work. I'd like to see people turn up knowing what they're supposed to do and learning what they have to do and studying what they have to do. Too many people are getting away with just sort of off-the-cuff stuff. And it's, in many cases, acceptable, unless you have a very stern director. And I'd like to see us take care of ourselves. And I'd like to see us go proudly in as Screen Actors Guild members to whatever work we do, and go in as professionals, as guild professional members, and not fly-by-nights whose work has to be tolerated rather than appreciated.
Yeah. Do you think there's a chance that the industry could get back to what it used to be?
No.
No.
I don't. I think, if anything, it'll just go further. Unless somebody shakes all of our unions up and says, you belong to a union because you are supposed to be a craftsman or a craftsperson, whether it's lighting or costume design or acting or a musician, that you come in, do your stuff and do it well, and make our industry proud of you instead of apologizing for you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I didn't think that I could love you anymore, but that answer that you just gave, I love you more than I did when you sat down. So.
Oh, Wendy, thank you. I mean it sincerely. I mean, look, let's face it, there are still great laughs to be held.
Sure.
Being in show business means a lot of laughter as a rule. You don't have the laughs selling insurance or shoes or delivering coal that you have in show business. You don't get to spend time with beautiful people who are respected and honored in the business. It's quite wonderful. And so my thought is appreciate it. Thank God, thank the industry for having you in it, and treat it well, treat it professionally.
Yeah, amen to that. What is one project that surprised you with its lasting impact?
I think you put your finger on it. I think Twilight Zone is a surprise to me that it has gone on. Another one of the surprises to me, and then I realize why, is the Lucy show. That has been a stalwart on our screens since its beginning, and it's never gone away. We are still watching Lucy shows. And I think one of the reasons is I discovered that foreigners watch the Lucy show because they learn to speak English by watching the Lucy show.
Wow.
That you don't need to know in writing what the meaning is. You know when Lucy does something, what it is, and the language comes to people. And it never occurred to me until I heard someone say that. And then I started watching, saying, of course it's true. Of course,
yeah.
What a surprise to have her as a friend. She became a friend and was my friend for many years. When I asked her to be our honoree at the Thalian, she said yes. And little Lucy, of course, is still my friend. She lives in Palm Springs, where I have a home. And she's a great gal and a very gifted gal. And I'm sorry that her brother did not choose to stay in the business. He chose to get out of it. Lucy is very gifted and wonderful. And I see her quite often. We're friends. But to have Big Lucy as my friend was a gift beyond measure.
Yeah.
Loved her. Yeah. And she loved me. And she used me a lot. She liked the fact that I knew my stuff. I came in knowing it. We didn't have to do retakes on what we did. And she was great fun off stage. But on stage, she was not fun. She was a workaholic. She liked everything. Let's work, and then we'll laugh later. Not that she didn't have a good time working, but
sure,
she really was a bit of a taskmaster on the stage when we were working. When I say the stage, I mean stage 17 or 18 or whatever it was at the studio.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, a lot of the time when someone has a really amazing career, they'll ask, well, what were your inspirations for getting into what you did? But I'm more curious, could you tell us a little bit about some of the people that inspired you once you were already in the business? Someone like Lucy, people that you worked with that you had so much respect for, whether it was their discipline or their passion, that you were inspired by them while you were working with them and you carried that forward throughout your career.
Lucy was certainly an inspiration. You know who else was an inspiration? and you're going to say, how come? That was Phyllis Diller.
Yeah.
She had this fabulous approach. When she hit that stage, it was like fireworks going off. But she was a hell of a good artist, a painter. And I have several of her works. She would get quiet when it came to that. She was a great artist when it came to making martinis, let me tell you. She was good at drinking them too. But I loved the fact that she was able to put aside the screaming and laughing and making jokes to find material that worked and put it together. And then she created a symphony of laughter. Oh, that was a good line, Ruta. A symphony of laughter. I must use that again. And so she inspired me in many ways. Lucy certainly inspired me. Someone else who inspired me, again, a strange thing, Charles Laughton's wife, Elsa Lanchester. She inspired me because she played these twitty sort of characters, and she wasn't a twit at all. It was a joy working with her. Marlene Dietrich inspired me in another way. She was very cool with me. I mean, she was nice enough, but she didn't like young girls. But I watched her work, and the one thing that really impressed me was not her acting ability, because Billy Wilder literally put scenes in her mouth. Tell her he'd sing song stuff if he wanted something special. But she knew lighting better than anybody in our business ever knew. And she carried a trunk that was lined with foam that had all kinds of lights in it. And she would say, and she knew how she should be lit. And she'd say to the TD, the technical director, I'd like an inky dink, which is a small camera, not camera, but light down here to pick up so that I don't have any of the double chin or whatever. Say, Marlena, I don't have an inky dink. You don't need it. You look absolutely beautiful. She'd say, you don't have it? Wait a minute. I have it. And she'd go and open her trunk, and there in the trunk was the inky dink she wanted. I had to admire that about her. Yeah. She learned early on, when the man that was doing the lighting on the set would take all day to make her look magnificent. She learned what it was. That's a different kind of knowledge that nobody anymore studies, you know?
Yeah.
So I named you several characters there.
That's wonderful. And I guarantee you that there are people out there who would name you as inspiring them when they worked with you. I have no doubts about that at all.
Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you. I really try hard to kind of spend time with young people in the business too, if they're interested in any old stories or whatever. I have to tell you, I want to share something with you. I not long ago did the RuPaul show, which is a drag show. And I happen to love RuPaul. And it really ticks me off that he is prettier than I am. But I went backstage for a quick meet with the guys that are competing. And I spent a little time with them after we did our shoot. I sat there with them and talked. And I was so dazzled by how impressed they were and how good they were to me and how they wanted to hear everything I had to say about the business and about makeup and about hair and about the people working and professionalism and doing the best you can, no matter what it is. Do the best you know how, and you will be rewarded. And I've got to tell you, I was in tears when I left them because they were such a bizarre, wonderful group of guys who wanted to be dressed and do women. And then most of them were prettier, like I said, than I was. And it was a very touching and very interesting showbiz experience for me, doing the RuPaul show. And I love watching now and seeing the guys who know how to do better makeup than most women do.
Yeah. Well, looking back at what can only be called a star-studded career, what are you most proud of?
I am very proud of having played the unsinkable Molly Brown, and opening night of it in one of the lovely theaters in Texas. Meredith Willson, who wrote Molly Brown, who wrote The Music Man, was in the audience. And he said to the press, and it got printed, and I have a copy of it, that Ruta is the best of all the Mollys I've ever seen. And if she were playing it on Broadway, it would still be running. That to me was one of the greatest compliments that ever happened. It was totally unexpected. And wow, whenever I feel blue, I think about that, because that was quite a compliment. Having the guys applaud and say, I reminded them of Carol Lombard, was very special too. I'm proud of a lot of the work that I've done. In fact, I'm proud of all of the work that I've done, because whether it came out the best or not, I did the best I knew how. And therefore, I'm not sorry about anything. I'm just happy about it.
If you didn't go into acting, what career would you have pursued?
Clearly, it should have been zookeeping, but my other choice was interior design. And I'm really not good at it, but I just love eclectic design. I love mixing old and new and making it livable. My whole house is early junk and later junk and good stuff and crap, you know, a little bit of everything. But it's a fabulous old house that I live in. It's almost 100, it is 100 years old. And it was once owned by Rita Hayworth and Orson Welles. And I keep rubbing my ass on the walls, saying the glamour will come off.
That's funny. My son and I had a conversation yesterday about how, like, you could have been born in any time period, right? With how long people have been in existence. But the fact that, you know, you were born 90 years ago, and you were able to have this amazing career and work with these amazing people. You know, it's like a 1 in a million chance that you would have had that experience. But I'm happy that I was born when I was, because I got to experience your work and see everything that you've done, and just the way that, you know, you act with these other people, the way that you act, the way you carry yourself. Like Wendy said, you are a star for sure.
What a sweet thing to say to both of you. Thank you. Thank you for making me feel so welcome. I sometimes think about, would I have been happier in a different era? Would I have been a better known actor or actress in a different period? I sort of feel like the 20s was a very interesting time, but in many ways, I sort of came in on the tail end of that, because I of course was born in the 30s. And that was a very interesting period too. But you know what? I've got to play in all of them. I've done 20s, I've done 1850s, I've done even earlier than that, the Roman times. I've gotten to play in all of them. So in some ways, I guess I'm happy where I am. I would have liked to have had a bigger starring name above the title in a movie, you know. I have not had that, but I have had a long career, and I've made a living in our industry. Not too many people can say that. You know, the current stars of series are hot stuff, and yeah, they might be making $1 million a show, but that doesn't last forever. So I'm hoping that everybody that is starring in a series now and making, whether it's 5,000 or 50,000 an episode, that they're saving their money, investing it loudly and wildly and wisely, because it doesn't last forever. You're off that tube now for 3 or 4 years, and it's who, you know how quickly it goes. So when asked, you know, what can I say to anybody new in the industry, I say, learn to do something besides act, so that you can feed yourself while you're waiting for that pass on the merry-go-round that is show business. And that's what it is. You sometimes can reach the thing, sometimes you can't, but you have to eat and pay the rent. So whether it's waiting tables, whether it's driving for Uber, whether it's going to law school so that you can do something else, learn to do something to feed yourself. I say that to anybody who wants to go into show business.
It makes sense, because we do see actors come and go, and
yeah,
it's got to be a tough industry, because
there's
so many people that are competing for roles. And
right. Yeah. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people today who I think they don't think ahead to the fact that, well, am I going to have an acting gig in another 5 years, in another 10 years? Am I going to get another starring role when this series is over?
Yeah.
And so you see a lot of people make a lot of money and then they spend it. And the next thing you know, someone that definitely made enough money that if they had looked after it, you know, and been careful,
Yes.
they could have retired and lived the rest of their lives quite comfortably, and all of their money is gone. And it's such a shame when, you know, they put in the work to make the money, they earned the money, they deserved the money. But I feel like today people are not being taught how to preserve that and think about tomorrow. You know, it's all just like, what do I want right now, as opposed to, yes, right now, but also I'm hopefully going to be around for another couple of decades and I'm going to need to eat, like you said. And I don't think that people are putting enough thought into that today. And then they end up in very unfortunate situations.
You know, we're also in a business that is dependent on somebody else.
Yeah.
You get a job because somebody thought you were right for the part. And for every one job you get, you've got at least 10 or 20 that you've gone on that you didn't get. And it's very easy to get discouraged in our business. And if you do discourage easily, you're in the wrong business, because you might as well get used to a lot of no's before you get a yes. And that yes might be, you think it's going to open the doors for a lot of other stuff. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
You still have to go on a lot of calls and a lot of auditions and a lot of everything. And it's a very, very tough business. And what's tough is that if you do have a little success, not to let it go to your head. That's tough, because it's very easy to believe your own newsprint about how wonderful you are in something, or how cute you are, how well you wear your hair or your clothes or your makeup. You can get carried away so easily. And boy, oh boy, our American audiences now, and Canadian and British and everything, have a voracious appetite.
Yeah.
And we eat up a lot of stuff very fast. Like I said, all those channels that are out there with good stuff on all of them. Pretty good stuff. And well, what are you watching today? Well, I have that. I'll record it for later. Then do you ever get to it? I don't know. But that's a lot of stuff out there. And it's hard to settle on one thing and admire one actor in a role that you keep watching week after week. And that's much tougher nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah. May I ask you,
You
if
may.
the opportunity had come up for you to go abroad and do some acting in Britain, I'm curious if you would have done this, because I look at pictures of you and I watch you and I hear you and I think you would have made an incredible Hammer Films glamour girl. You are that. You could have been in any of those movies. I love the old Hammer Films and Amicus Films. You know, it's monster movies, but there's something special about them. They're not just your run-of-the-mill ones.
Agreed.
And all of those,
I would go
all
anywhere.
of those ladies.
I will go anywhere to work. I think one mistake that I made was not following through and going to New York. There was interest in me. I had auditioned here, and then there was talk about would she come in and blah blah blah. But New York salaries were, a good Yiddish word, bupkis, nothing. I mean, I think that I might have made $500 a week or something, which was considered pretty good for New York. And I thought I'd have to do 8 shows a week for $500. My apartment will cost more than $500. What about the food? What about the cab fares? What about the everything? And I'm going to give up my beautiful home and my pool and my animals in California to go do that? Well, clearly I should have, because if ever there was a stage animal, it's me. Now, you heard me talk about how wonderful it is when you feel the audience. And I probably would have done very well in New York. But London, I would have gone to in a flash. But Americans didn't work in London very easily. It had to be a role that called for an American. Otherwise, you didn't get the permit to work. I did work there in Funny Bones, and that was great, but then the film called for it. I played Jerry Lewis's wife, and we had a great time. God, I love London. And you're right about British films. But once again, I don't have big gazongas, and all of those girls did. Those British stars all had great big knockers.
Listen, you were just as beautiful, if not more so, than Ingrid Pitt, and she was a beauty.
She was,
untold, but I mean, I guess I just want to know, like, did you want to get bitten by Dracula? Because I would love to be bitten by Dracula, and I can't stop myself from asking this question right now.
I would be bitten by anybody. Film is film. What great fun. What great fun. Oh. And it would have been the most fun if it had been Vinnie Price.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't think we have any other questions for you, and we really appreciate you being here. This has been fabulous. Thank you.
It's time for me to go too.
Yeah.
I just love being with you girls. Now, if you ever come out west to Tinseltown, you've got my number. You know where to call me. Come on over. I'll show you Rita Hayworth's home. You can rub your ass on the walls.
It's a date. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. We cannot tell you what an absolute thrill it is. You are a living doll. You are a living legend. And I hope that you know how much you mean to a lot of people, because even if someone doesn't know your name, I guarantee that you have played in something that meant something to someone.
I've spent some time in their bedroom, in their kitchen, in their bathroom, if they're rich, in their den. And I thank you for sharing your audience with me. And that's my phone ringing. So goodbye. I love you both.
We love you too. God bless you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for tuning in to another Scooby panel. I'm Nikki Blake from ScoobyAddicts.com. If you like these panels, please subscribe to my channel for more great discussions. A huge shout out to our patrons, Julie Rosen, Ross from ScoobyFan.net, Tagus, Garrett Spencer, Paul the Scooby Dude, and Jesse. If you would like to support the Scooby panel, please go to patreon.com/ScoobyAddicts. A very special thank you to artist, blogger, and Scooby collector Wendy BRYDGE, and beloved film, stage, and television actress Ruta Lee. Scooby Panel is available in podcast form on most podcast platforms, or as a web series on YouTube. You can find Scooby Panel on Instagram, Facebook, and X as @ScoobyPanel. We are part of the Collector's Maze Network, where you can find all things geek. Scooby and Shaggy were voiced by Scott Innes. Check out Scott's website, onescottshop.com. Scooby Addicts artwork by Will Davenport. Scooby Panel logo by Garrett Spencer. Video editing by Nikki Blake. Please join us next time for another Scooby panel.